Akai MPC One. Today I'm chopping samples. I'm going to show you the different ways that I chop samples, and we're going to talk these simple beats again. Simple beats are extremely important to hip hop, and throughout this video I'll explain why. But first, what's going on, guys? It's your brother O.T.G. O.T.G's for Overtime Grind. Hardly seen, but I'm always around. And as you can see right now, I'm just chopping my samples up. I'm getting them lined up the way that I want them. I told you before, but if this is your first time ever watching any of my videos, I never use manual chop. I never use the threshold chop or any of that stuff. I always chop by hand. And I have a specific way that I like to chop, and a way that a certain length I like all my chops to be. I like micro chops, and then I like long chops. First, make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment. Make sure you hit the notification bell so that way you can stay up with every time when I drop videos. Make sure you check out the description in the comment. Down in the comment, there's now a MPC Masterclass. I have the $7 Masterclass, and then now I have different level Masterclasses where you could get all of the sounds that I have available for the MPC and the Masterclass all in one good package. So make sure you check that out. Free drum kit, etc., etc. All right, so this method that I'm utilizing right now is I'm going to play the sample first. What I'm going to do is figure out which part that I like, what I like, come up with a loop on my own that I like with the samples with no drums. Then from there, I'm going to tap into BPM so I can figure out what the BPM that I'm playing at is going to be. So that way I don't have to time stretch or I don't have to do anything. Then I'm going to lay that in an 8-bar pattern, and then I'm going to add drums and go from there. So I know this is a different method than a lot of people use. A lot of people create the drums first, or they have a piece of the sample that they like, or there's a lot of different ways, but I'm going to show you how to get it done this way, and it's actually pretty quick. If I wasn't using video, I'd probably make this beat in probably like 10 minutes from start to finish. So now we're tapping the tempo in. You can see the sample says that it's supposed to be at 75. I stored the information, but I'm going to make the beat at 79. It says 79.26. I talk about the points, the numbers sometimes. Now where you just looped it out to 8 bars. I talk about the point numbers sometimes, 0.26, 0.55, and why you should keep it. Part of that is super important to how your samples blend into each other. I see a lot of guys round that up. I like to leave it. Also, like when people are trying to detect the BPM of my beats, it always throws them off because I make sure I utilize that. So I played the sample in at my own pace. I didn't worry about being on beat. And when you do that, once you get around where you need to be, most of the time when you go in, you're just one note off, and that's, as you can see. You could utilize quantize, but for me, I like to visually see where my notes are. It helps me when I'm making the beat. So by doing it this way, I could go in and see. I believe those last couple notes, they were off they were actually on point. You could see them. But I'm still going to grab everything and make sure it's right where I need it to be. We'll go back. We'll move those so I can see that I was on beat for those last 4. Now we got everything on beat. I'm probably going to bump the sample up now. I don't want to do any zero crossfading. I don't really want any clips or any pops. So what I'll do to bypass that step is probably speed it up just a little bit so each part of the sample merges to the next part of the sample. And that way we don't have any of that clipping. So I turned it up 1 BPM from 79 to 80. Now we're gonna hop straight to the drums and get busy with the drums. I got my favorite sound kit in here. This one is just one of those Arab music kits from the second expansion, but I'm not going to use that. I got my favorite Smackers kit already loaded up. I'm gonna use the Smackers and we're gonna get it smacking. I'm coming right in. I'm coming in hot. I'm just gonna come right in and play some drums over it. You know, I often talk about finger drumming and the necessity of finger drumming. I think that finger drumming is actually a cool trait and a cool thing for a lot of people to know. But I do think that unless you are familiar with the MPC and beat making and arranging, that finger drumming can get in the way, because now you're just finger drumming off beat and doing a lot of different things. I'll go more into depth. I talk about that a lot in the master class. I even show how to set it up to finger drum. I'm pretty good with it. I'm not the best, but you know, I've gotten good enough to play my ideas right on the MPC or the SP, so I could lay down a drum, a kick drum, and a snare loop or some kind of break underneath whatever I'm playing. And because hip hop comes from drum breaks, I don't necessarily do a lot of changing of my drums or a lot of flipping of the drums. It's something that I've learned, is that with hip hop coming from drum breaks and samples, you know, the classic hip hop that everybody loves and the hip hop that rappers love to rap on, most of the time was just a sample and a drum break. And so we can recreate that. You just gotta have the timing down, if you understand what I'm saying. Here we inside a program edit, which is a super important mode. I noticed I'm learning, I might get my hands on a live too, just to show you guys how to operate that, how to just operate making beats on a live too. I didn't know you guys were suffering without so many buttons, you know what I mean? Because you wanted that battery and you wanted a speaker, that you don't have a dedicated program edit button. Like, I knew it, but I didn't know how much it would affect how people make beats, you know? MPC One guys, they might make fun of you and act like your MPC One is cheap. But man, I love it. I think it's the best MPC on the market out of the new ones. Fits perfectly in the studio, does everything and has all the buttons you need, so you're not pressing a lot of shift. Pads are good. I think it's a great MPC. Sometimes I gotta talk through the whole video because people ask. I would prefer to not talk through the whole video, but you know, people have been asking for more tips a lot here lately, so I've been trying to make sure that we're hooking you guys up. So one thing that I do is I don't really worry about the volumes too much. I don't really worry about the volume of things too much. I kind of do. Like, if you watch my videos, you'll have an understanding like I do. But I think that trying to do too much mixing while you're making the beat can throw you off and make you lose creativity to where you're trying to go with that particular beat. So I utilize Program Edit, which gives me access to all the volumes of the sounds and samples that I'm playing, and from there we do some small edits to the audio as we go to the volume. But I don't really jump into mixing or doing too much of that until I necessarily have to, or I feel like at the moment that the sound can't make it past. always remember that you have your 16 levels. I see a lot of guys go in and go into sample edit and start tuning things and doing stuff. Before you go in and start tuning, just utilize your 16 levels. So like right now, you can see I'm using my 16 levels on this bell. One of the tricks that I utilize with my samples is, in this method that I'm showing, because I know this beat, I could tell already from how the sample is. A beat like this, I could sell it pretty quickly. I could rap on it myself. I know who and where I want to take it and where it's going to go. Part of that maybe is because I've been managing a long time. Make sure you follow me at 365 O.T.G on Twitter. You can see that a lot of the great producers follow me. Swiss Beats, magazines, DJ Premier. A lot of people follow me because of what I've done in the music business outside of production. So for me, I have a lot of ways to work something like this. I could sell the sample, I could sell the chops, I can send it to somebody and write a song. I could just, there's a lot of different things I could do. So with a sample like this, what I would tend to do is only make 4 tracks, and 4 or 5 actual tracks. On each track, I'll stack up some sounds. So that way, when I want to get to arrangement mode, I can make some quick variations on the fly that I know matter to the bars and to certain things. And I group my tracks by knowing what I'm going to cut off. You'll see once we get to the end. One of the things people ask me a lot about, we'll discuss, is why don't I show myself in the videos, or why don't I really discuss everything that I do? I do so much in music that producing is really the base. It's like probably the smallest thing. I've got executive producer credit on a couple albums where I didn't produce any beats. Stuff with Beans, stuff with Tone Trump. I've managed a bunch of DJs and rappers. I've worked with record labels, the biggest labels you can imagine down to the smallest, whether it's branding, whether it's events, whether it's social media management. The O.T.G brand is known in Philly as a brand that you talk to when you need anything with music. All right, so now we're going to go out and let's automate this, automate our tracks. So you can see in my mind, I already know. Here's a perfect example of if you're a producer of utilizing what you know works. I know with beats like this that I've heard in the past, that I've heard rappers on, that I don't really need a lot of breakdowns. I don't need a lot of sounds. I could just make a simple beat, and what I need to do is create small variations but keep the rhythm going, so the rappers that I know and the people that I know who listen to my music and purchase music from me, or will want the idea or the chops, they have enough room to see or hear and get a vision, a direction from what I'm creating. You understand? So the seeing me thing, I feel like, we're in a world where there's enough producers on here every day trying to prove to you why they're somebody. I've already sold 1 million ringtones. I've been signed by MC Light for 12 years now. Still on a lifetime deal with MC Light when it comes to production and stuff that I do for TV. I've been producing for 20 years total. I feel like at this point, I don't need a bunch of fake people who are my friends or like my channel for the wrong reasons. And I don't need people to watch my channel and get thrown off because they see all the different gear that I have in my studio. They think that that's what they need to be successful or make it. I also don't really sell affiliate links and all of that stuff. My goal is really for people in my culture. Listen closely. I make these videos for people in the culture. I know people from outside of the culture watch it. I have no issues with that. I know from people from outside of the culture purchase my stuff. I have no problems with that, no qualms, no issues. But as somebody who was born and raised in the culture, I feel like you can't complain that nobody's helping anybody and nobody is giving tips, or why does everything sound so trash, or why do people miss so many things when you're not making any attempts to help anybody. So that's been my goal with the channel, is to create a channel to help people from in the culture now and in the future. So I choose the way that gets a little bit less likes. I understand I don't hop into every major thing that people are talking about every week. We just stick to the beats. And because of that, that's why I think it's important to see the MPC. I don't really care if you guys see me air drumming or what I'm wearing or what my face looks like. That's a bunch of weirdo type time that helps producers. I want producers to make better music to sell to artists, so then when artists come to me, I have something that I could sell to the people and the people actually like it. So hopefully that little breakdown helps you out. Right now, you know, I'm utilizing putting my EQ on the second strip, so that way I have some room to add more. This is just on the drum kit because I want to bring the highs up and the hi-hats and kind of some of the sound of the snare and the kick. And then what we're going to do is just go to program edit and mess with that and bring the volume down there. Go through and make sure there's no other drum kits, even though I know there's not. We got our 4 tracks. We know what our tracks are. We got our mutes automated. And so now we're just going to finish going through and making those small adjustments. And you can hear this is the beat that we created. And you can see that once you lay out the organization of it, sometimes coming back later and just doing basic mixes is a lot easier. Another tip is to mix it down. Once you mix it down and you have it, you can always come back in and make those changes in real time. So hopefully this video helps you guys out. Hopefully you learned something. Inshallah, you got some tips through it. I answered some questions that I got in the DMs, some questions I got on my Twitter account, 365 O.T.G. Shout out to everybody who follows over there and has been engaging in the hip hop communities. We've been seeing 100,000 views, 100 retweets. Really been going up for the hip hop conversations. Thank you guys. Make sure you check out the new masterclass. Comes with 3 levels now. You can get the original for $777, lifetime updates. You can get the biggest masterclass. Comes with 45 expansions and lifetime updates. So with that, it's your brother O.T.G. O.T.G's for Overtime Grind. Have a great day, guys.